On this episode of Latinas, we'll get some holiday cooking and shopping tips, meet the ringmaster for the Big Apple Circus, and so much more. Latinas starts now. Welcome to Latinas, the show that's all about nuestras mujeres in the Latinx community. I'm Tina Beth Pina. The holidays are right around the corner, and if you're looking for something to do, you may want to check out the Universal Hip Hop Museum pop-up in the Bronx. Elena Romero met with its curator, Martha Diaz, to talk about the importance of hip-hop preservation and its Latinx narrative.
It's about time that we started documenting this history and documenting this culture for future generations.
And that is exactly what the Revolution of Hip Hop at the Bronx Terminal Market is doing. A pop-up exhibition of the Universal Hip Hop Museum, patrons get to sample hip-hop history through artifacts, early hip-hop party flyers, a graffiti-painted subway car, nostalgic fashion, and an interactive AI exhibit.
And so we're kind of teasing our collection, what we have in the collection. The collection so far that we have consists of about 50,000 items. The record collection of 20,000 was given to us by Cutman LG.
Diaz, who is Colombian, is one of several curators of the space, which is making a point to highlight Latinx contributions to hip-hop culture.
From the beginning, Latinos have been part of the evolution of hip-hop. I think because there's not a lot of history about Latinos in hip-hop, we're always having to, we're always an afterthought. We were hand in hand, living side by side with African Americans.
Latinx contributions to hip-hop can easily be spotted, from the historic photos of Bronx Boricua photographer Joe Conzo to the fashions of legendary Boricua b-boy Jorge Fable Pabon.
The inclusiveness of the Latin community is important to recognize because there was influences that came from their culture specifically, like Tito Puente, for example, and the whole freestyle scene that had a lot to do with the emergence of hip-hop in the late 70s and early 80s.
But tell me what it's like to be Latina and to serve as an archivist and a curator in this space.
I'm helping to build relationships so that we can acquire more collections, so that we can have more participation from the Latino community, and for young girls to see me in this role is hopefully going to inspire the next generation of archivists and curators.
Construction is underway for the permanent home of the Universal Hip Hop Museum at East 149th Street along the Harlem River. It opens in 2023, just in time for the 50th anniversary of hip hop. In the meantime, you can visit its pop-up exhibition at Bronx Terminal Market. For Latinas, I'm Elena Romero.
Last month, we spoke to 3 Latina actresses who shared with us what they often deal with during the casting process. Listen in as their conversation continues about Hollywood, the lack of Latino representation in front of the camera, and the shortfalls behind the scenes from other Latinos in positions of power who don't always support their fellow Latinx talent. That's today's Caliente Caliente.
How can we expect what again I'm calling the mainstream culture to elevate us to where we're at realistically in the world today if we're not doing that for ourselves?
It's good that you touched the point about us as Latino accepting us and accepting our differences, because some of the biggest forces that I found has been from Latinos productions.
In the Latino community, we seem to make people famous instead of trying to rise the tide. Creative work is controlled by a very small minority. And those people are the people who are constantly working. If one person gets to the top And now they can hire the same people they continue to hire and make the exact same shows, which, by the way, are incredibly stereotypical too.
I think that in the big spectrum of things, it still has to do because Latinos are very important, but they still don't have that much voice.
But the whole hashtag no stories about us without us, then we need to be choosy about what stories we're telling. Because as an actor, I do not want to keep auditioning for roles that are subpar in terms of reality, like culture and careers.
We have many more stories other than immigration. Like my immigration story is not the same as yours or as yours. So it is something that we also need to start changing the narrative in our community.
I cannot tell you how many times I've auditioned for, nurses roles, but never a doctor. But then you watch a Latino show and you see that stereotype being replicated within the Latino community.
The more stories as Hispanic as we create, as we produce, as we create, as we tell them, because in the end, we came to America. They didn't call us to come. I sought refuge because of what Colombia was going through.
Yes, open the door for us to let us be seen, but it falls on our shoulders to tell our stories and to get it out there. We just need the doors open for more writers, producers, directors, and the green light to tell our stories.
My Latino friends and their Latino friends are either first generation college graduates, first generation lawyers, first generation doctors, like award-winning journalists. Like, why are we not telling those stories? And I question that a lot because, I'm always thinking about what's my legacy, right? What am I leaving behind? How can I make the next generation not go through as much as what I've gone through?
It's a matter of us to keep educating, to keep, at this pivotal point that a lot will be defined. Keep leaving a legacy.
I think it is our responsibility as Latinos. It is something that we as Latinos should take upon to re-educate the industry. The various type of Latinas, like right now, look at us three. Like we couldn't be more different, yet we're all Latinas.
There's an incredible reality within the Latino community that really segregates us instead of unifying us. And I think hopefully this discussion is meant to do that.
Ballet Hispánico, the nation's renowned Latino dance organization since 1970, launched a new campaign entitled Be Unidos, Our Artists, Our Future. That campaign features a robust collection of videos with insights into the lives of the dancers, inspirational messages from company members, live online classes, and a holiday celebration watch party featuring a Ballet Hispánico favorite, Club Havana. Everything will be available on Ballet Hispánico's Facebook and YouTube channel. The artist-focused campaign will run through January 6th, 2021. Immigrating to a foreign country always has its challenges, but sometimes it's the only option, especially if you're from the LGBTQ community. Documentary filmmaker and CUNY professor Irene Sosa examines those issues in her documentary, Sexual Exiles. Correspondent Judith Escalona has the story.
No, I can't come back, no. Like, go back, no, I wouldn't. Not in a million years. This is where I belong.
Sexual Exiles, a film directed by Irene Sosa, is about a diverse group of men and women who left their countries in order to live openly as gays and lesbians. Released 20 years ago, the film is still drawing crowds as it streams online on the Rufino Tamayo Museum website.
I wanted to tell the story of how difficult and how heartbreaking is to leave your country, for any reason, for economical reason, for political reason, for sexual preference reason. So I wanted to connect to people in terms of the big sacrifice that we all make when we have to leave our countries. A place where we grew up, that we love very much.
Originally from Venezuela, Sosa is a Fulbright scholar and a professor of television and radio at Brooklyn College, where she's taught since 1999, the same year Sexual Exiles was released.
It was inspired by a friend of mine that was a black, gay, with a lot of feminine persona. that left the country because he would have died if he stayed there.
Fue que una vez me dijo, ay, que lo que pasa es que ahora como vives en los Estados Unidos no nos quieres. Le dije, no mamá, esa no es la razón. Estoy en los Estados Unidos, los hago por ustedes, porque yo soy homosexual. Yo no ando buscando a ofenderla a ella sino que me aceptara, que me quisiera. Su respuesta fue, eso es lo que haces allá.
Unlike Sosa's friend, who left Venezuela fearing for his life, others came as political and economic refugees or as students on scholarships. They discovered they could lead open lesbian and gay lifestyles and decided to make the United States their home.
But it's not the same. I mean, I don't think it's the same as being able to have found that acceptance when you came out and continue with your own family and your own friends that you grew up with. And it's almost like a tree cut at the root. The root is over there in Puerto Rico and the rest of the tree is over here.
Leaving roots behind can also mean assuming a different identity in the United States, beyond being openly lesbian or gay.
And suddenly we are in a new reality in which, my accent determines who I am. I became, I was racialized. I became a Latina here, and I was a minority, part of the minority group. And still I decide to stay.
Irene Sosa inserted herself in the film, making it autobiographical.
The pain of losing things that I love very much. A way of being, a way of walking, warmth in the sense of humor. And I'm more and more accepting the fact that I lost that.
It was always very autobiographical. And there is a way in which I'm using all these people to tell my story.
Out of the 50 people Sosa reached out to, only 8 were willing to go on camera to tell their stories of their search for identity, for acceptance, for love. In many ways, their stories are our own. For Latinas, I'm Judith Escalona.
While shopping online this holiday season, you may want to consider taking a look at some Uruguayan designers. From unique jewelry pieces to handmade blankets, Las Uruguayas can't be beat. Let's take a look.
Well, we are a collective of Uruguayan brands. We came all together. We have a support by the government that help us to grow and to go outside our country and internationalize our brands. I'm based in Uruguay. I was born there. I'm the daughter of an artisan. Ana Arocena is my mother. She made wool sweaters and will export them through all Europe. When I was born into all the workshops and all the fabrics where she worked. And one day I started doing this kind of jewelry. I didn't like the jewelry that was with a stone like very tiny, like fine pieces of jewelry. I wanted like more crude and leave the stone as it came out from the root. This is a necklace, a stone necklace. As you can see, this is the shape exactly as it came out of the ground. We don't dye it and we didn't do nothing. We also work with traditional techniques of our country, Uruguay, that are like, for example, talabarteria, that is this technique that it has millions of years. And what we do is we get that techniques and we add a bit of design. We make them contemporary pieces of fashion design that we don't use like dyes. It's all natural dyes that we use. So I think the vegan leather, as how many people call it, it's plastic at the time, and that kills our environment, our planet, a lot more than our natural leather without dyes, and that it's making small quantities and by our local artisans.
Venimos de Uruguay, soy diseñadora. Nuestra colección es 100% lana y hemos venido a Nueva York para transmitir lo que es el producto uruguayo, como puede ser la lana, o el cuero, que es muy preciado en todo el mundo. Es todo artesanal, no tenemos nada industrial. Acá tenemos con botones de guampa.
Es muy elegante, ¿no?
Sí, es 100% lana merina, que sabes que la lana merino es térmica, la puedes usar en verano y en invierno. Está hilada en rueca, ya no existe más ese trabajo tan artesanal, pero lo más importante es que esto da trabajo a las mujeres rurales de nuestro país.
Agnes and Susana have continued working during the pandemic. To shop and support their Uruguayan brands, log on to their websites. Teresa Carreño was the most famous female pianist in the world in the 19th and 20th century. Born in Caracas, Venezuela, Carreño was only 9 years old when she performed her debut concert in New York City. Her performance was so well received that the child prodigy later performed at the White House for President Abraham Lincoln. During her 54-year career, she toured and performed worldwide, not only as a pianist, but also as an opera singer and conductor. She even performed a second time at the White House for President Woodrow Wilson. Carreño was affectionately known as a Valkyrie of the piano and composed approximately 75 works. She died in 1917 at the age of 63. In December 2018, Google Doodle commemorated her life on what would have been her 165th birthday, and she's also remembered every year in Miami, Florida's Teresa Carreño International Master Piano Competition. Teresa Carreño is today's Badass Latina. There are so many delicious Latino holiday food traditions that we look forward to each and every Navidad. And foodie Rosalba Vasquez is about to share with us the recipe for one very special dish.
Welcome to my kitchen. Growing up in Mexico, I remember eating so many wonderful traditional foods with my grandma and family during the holidays. But before I share with you one of my favorites, let me tell you what I am grateful of 2020. As I was a first generation graduate from college and taking a job at a big company, after I left, I took a job at a community college. And from talking to those students, I began questioning what was going on. A lot of them, they didn't really communicate or talk to their counselor, their advisor on the classes that they wanted to take, or the classes that they were taking, they thought they were on the right path, but they weren't. So in 2018, along with other individuals, we decided that it was time to do something about it. And I founded the nonprofit MAV New Jersey, and we established we wanted to help high school and college students to really find their way and to succeed, to become professionals in whatever field they chose to. So what we do is, if they are high school students, we do a lot of workshops on pathway to college, FAFSA, educating the parents. What does that mean that they have to do it every year? If they are DACA recipients, they definitely have some help in the state of New Jersey. So a lot of workshops and information that sometimes they don't think it's possible because they have the wrong information, and that's where we come in. We help them, we do workshops, and we encourage them to always ask questions. When it comes to college students, we make sure that they are on the correct path. They have their classes, they have their resume, they are doing mock interviews, any networking events, they are exposing themselves out there because it's so important to do that. If anyone wants to volunteer, we're always more than happy to do it. A lot of our food drives, toiletry drives, or clothing drives happen because a lot of people want to volunteer and give back, and that's such an easy way to empower our community. And now, manos a la masa. The kitchen is my sanctuary during the holidays, as many of us are lucky enough to have either loved ones, family, or friends with us. I remember in the colder mornings sitting and waiting for my grandmother to give me one of this, and this is something that is very joyful, and I take those moments, I cherish them because she was an amazing woman, a very kind and generous individual. So this is something that reminds me of the holidays. The ingredients also are not expensive, and I think this is something super easy to make, especially if you want to start teaching little ones your roots and how to make the food. What I just made are called sopes, also known as memelas, especially in the state of Oaxaca, Mexico. I hope that if you never had this before, I encourage you to try it, and that would be it. Thank you.
You can wash down those memelas with coquito. Keep in mind that every recipe for coquito is slightly different, but these are the main ingredients. Start with ice and rum in your blender. Add 3 different types of milk, plus a can of cream of coconut. Add several spices for flavor per your liking. Blend, blend, blend until well mixed. Refrigerate for at least 1 hour and then enjoy. There's talent in every nook and cranny of New York City, and Storm Marrero is one amazing singer-songwriter who made her debut last year as the first Afro-Latina singing ringmaster of the Big Apple Circus. And that's why she's today's Latina on the Rise.
These dreams will make you feel brand new. Bigger lights will inspire you. Now you're in New York, New York, New York.
Being, the face of the circus, it's a lot of responsibility, but it's so much fun. It is so unique. It's kind of like cementing us as Latinos in this artistic environment.
Brooklyn-born, Puerto Rico-raised, Storm Marrero led the world-renowned Big Apple Circus last season as its electrifying ringmaster.
I've seen the circus as a kid. I never saw myself being a part of it because I thought that I had to be like a specialty act. But working in this environment, I'm like, this is showbiz. This is showbiz in a different mindset entirely.
The singer-songwriter first set her sights on a showbiz career when she was a kid growing up in Puerto Rico.
My first influence in music and knowing, this is what I want to do, was Mary J. Blige's What's the 411. I'm totally putting my age out there. And I knew right then and there, this is what I want to be. This is what I want to do. Growing up in Puerto Rico, I kind of shifted gears from wanting to study another thing to just focusing on music, and I got myself involved in choirs and school projects and school competitions and really just embracing it.
When Storm attended college at the University of Puerto Rico, she studied humanities with a concentration in music and eventually became an educator.
I worked for the Department of Education as a dean for a junior high school in East Harlem, and then I transferred over to a high school, becoming a parent coordinator. It's so rewarding because as a dean and as a parent coordinator, it's part of that social work environment. And if you look at a lot of the people that work in social work environments, they're humanists, and they come from the arts.
Although education was her day job and singing was a nighttime passion, her music eventually became a full-time career and made Storm one of the most sought-after singers in New York City until COVID-19 put the Big Apple and its performers on pause. Nevertheless, Storm has etched out quite an impressive musical career for herself at burlesque venues across the city with her sumptuous bluesy singing in the style of her vocal influences, Billie Holiday, Dinah Washington, and La Lupe.
As every Latina knows, La Lupe is gritty, grimy, emotional, just putting everything out there. That's always been my goal. No type of filter, no type of facade. What you see is what you get vocally and emotionally. I have my own music out, I have my own productions out that you can find on different downloading platforms, and I've always been pursuing my music and pursuing my career. Being a part of the Big Apple Circus is just one of the many pieces to the jigsaw puzzle that is me.
As New York City continues to return to its new normal, Storm will hopefully soon be able to perform live and in person. In the meantime, you can enjoy her voice on her most recent album, Black Gypsy, which is currently streaming online.
I'm a part of the fabric of the New York nightlife, so I will always continue, pushing and performing and all that good stuff.
Please don't let me be misunderstood.
And that's our show for today. For more information on what you just saw, check out our website at tv.cuny.edu and follow our social media profiles. We love sharing our Latina stories with you. And please make sure you tune in next month where we'll hear what Latinas have to say about living la vida remota and so much more. Que tengan un feliz Navidad y un próspero y sano Año Nuevo. Happy holidays, everybody. Bye-bye.